Republicans basically have reached the point where the only way that they can win elections is by lying. I mean, after all, who's going to vote for somebody who says, I want to cut Social Security, I want to privatize Medicare, I want all of our roads across the United States to be turned into toll roads, I want to gut the American military, I want to hand Ukraine over to Russia. It just goes on and on, right? They want to shut down the government. I don't think that people should have food stamps, quack, quack, quack. These are the Republican positions. And they're not popular with the American people. So what do the Republicans do? They lie. Oh, yeah, our trickle-down policies will create prosperity for working people, and getting rid of unions will make working people's pay go up. And they just literally lie. Now, into this fray of lies has stepped a number of nonprofit organizations. Stanford University is involved with two of them. There's the Stanford Media Observatory and the Election Integrity Partnership, which involves a bunch of other academic groups. They're being investigated by Jim Jordan, issuing subpoenas to them and the people who work there, which is a great, and then they have to go out and spend thousands of dollars of their own money hiring lawyers. It's a great way to just shut people up and shut them down. And this isn't the only one. There's a bunch of them. And, the Republican attacks on fact checkers are increasing as Americans increasingly are rejecting Republican policies. Now, out of that, what we see is the Republicans saying, okay, if you don't want us and you're not going to vote for us in democratic elections, then we're going to ignore the elections. We're going to steal power. We're going to hold power. We're going to play dirty. You see this in Ohio, where the Republican Secretary of State rewrote the description of an abortion rights ballot measure to confuse voters. You see it in Alabama, where the state is right now ignoring the U.S. Supreme Court's order to strip out white supremacy from their electoral maps. You see it in North Carolina, where Republicans flipped their Supreme Court to overrule its own previous decision to prevent racial gerrymanders benefiting Republicans. You see it in Wisconsin, where Republicans are trying to impeach a Democratic Supreme Court justice because she opposes the gerrymandered maps. You see it in Ohio's gerrymandering, with Republicans ignoring their own GOP-controlled Supreme Court. You see it in Florida, where DeSantis and Republicans passed a permitless gun carry bill opposed by 77% of Floridians, and now allow the state to take trans kids away from their families. You see it in Tennessee, where Republicans kicked 3 Democrats out of office for daring to fight for abortion and civil rights. You see it in red states across the country that have passed laws blocking tens of millions of mostly city-dwelling American citizens from voting, and continue to purge other tens of millions from the voters' rolls just before the elections. And this is where the lies come in. They routinely lie about everything. They lie about Democrats' position on abortion. Ted Cruz the other day said, and I quote, "Democrats support abortion up to the moment of birth and even horrifically after that." It's a lie. They lie about climate change. They lie about Ukraine. They lie about Republican plans to end or privatize Social Security. They lie about crimes committed by Donald Trump. And that doesn't even begin to count the lies they tell about individual Democrats and policies that the Democrats support. As Justin Higgins, a former policy advisor for House Republican Tim Huelskamp of Kansas, told Aaron Rupar, quote, "You can basically make up your own reality in right-wing media. The truth doesn't matter in right-wing media." We used to, when Rush Limbaugh was alive, well, it was probably more like about a decade ago, I used to have a regular feature on this show where we would debunk Rush Limbaugh and Sean Hannity. I mean, after a while, it just became boring. Everybody knows they lie. I mean, Fox News got hit with a $700 million plus judgment for lying. Alex Jones got nailed for lying. This is what right-wing media does. But now these fact checkers that are calling out their lies are coming under attack, principally from Jim Jordan in his weaponizing government subcommittee and his judiciary committee. And what's happening? Stanford is talking about shutting down their truth in media operations. Facebook is laying off their fact checkers. Twitter has fired their fact checkers, many of them. I should say many of them with regard to Facebook. The National Institutes of Health froze a $150 million program designed to advance communication and medical information. This is from the Washington Post, quote, academics and government scientists say the Jordan campaign also is successfully throttling the years-long effort to study online falsehoods, which grew after Russian attempts to interfere in the 2016 election caught both social media sites and politicians unawares. And the right-wing social media oligarchs are jumping on the bandwagon. The the Washington Post notes, quote, 12 major media accounts from China, Russia, and Iran saw the number of likes and reposts on Twitter, or X, nearly double after Elon Musk removed labels calling them government-affiliated. And who does this work to the benefit of? Donald Trump and the GOP. Musk is now suing the Center for Countering Digital Hate, the CCDH, saying that they're engaging in a scare campaign to drive away advertisers. He's now accusing the group of taking federal funds that they insist don't exist. As the Washington Post noted, quote, X also alleged, without offering evidence for its claims, that the CCDH operations were, quote, activist organizations masquerading as research agencies, funded and supported by unknown organizations, individuals, and potentially even foreign governments with ties to legacy media companies. Republican appeals courts have successfully blocked the Biden administration from even telling social media sites when they've identified foreign propaganda showing up on those sites. The attacks by Jim Jordan and Joni Ernst and others have, according to the Washington Post, taken academics by surprise. And now a lot of them are just leaving. Laura Edelson is one. She's now an assistant professor of computer science at Northeastern University. And, she used to be the Justice Department's chief to identify this kind of stuff. And she said that she only applied for jobs in private universities because they're not subject to freedom of information laws. The Putin caucus in the Republican Party, along with the fossil fuel billionaires who continue to fund climate denial, are quite pleased that they've succeeded in intimidating the fact checkers just in time for the 2024 election. So now the job of communicating the truth falls to you and me. We're going to have to do this because the fact checkers are being blocked all over the country. We're going to have to be the ones who tell our friends and neighbors when they're lying to us, because the fact checkers are being shut down and the Republican lies are going on steroids, and pretty soon they're going to be in advertisements. Again, thanks to the Supreme Court.